Hello everyone, I Manju Bala welcome you all in the third Talkfest on TEC, Transform and Empower through Education, through Communication. The topic of today's talk is online education. In this talk, I am going to interact with Dr. Rajpal, who is working very efficiently and dedicatedly on the mission of empowering the people through his creative ideas. Sir, I really appreciate your visionary mindset. Welcome you, Dr. Rajpal.
Thank you, Manju ma'am. Thank you for the generous introduction. And through this talk, we are empowering the empowered. And before we start asking me questions, let me ask a simple question. How many questions do you have in your list?
Sir, I have prepared only 10 questions.
Only 10? I think you have done a greater job than the people sitting in big offices having 20-inch Apple desktop on their tables. Because such a brainstorming session, having questions, and these 10 questions might be the 10 projects for online education. Provided you have the vision, provided you have the intention, provided you have the competence and clarity of thought. So these 10 questions not being maybe other questions, but such a brainstorming session has not been the reality of our academic world, even after being 2 years into the pandemic and being in this online space. So I become very conscious when I say, when I see 10 questions ahead of me or in front of me, maybe ahead of my mind and ahead of my times. So I try to do this job with sincerity and seriousness. Kindly suit me with your first question.
Sir, my first question is, how can we make online education more productive?
Okay, so it is about making online education more productive. Good question, good spirit behind this question. And I see that before searching the ways to make online education more productive, we need to ask a question to ourselves as policymakers, as academic administrators, as school managements, that whether the online education is proper and productive. Have we been able to make it proper, or still we are toying with ideas, or we are not even toying with the ideas and just managing with the managers, those who claim that as managers we have to save money, as managers we have to cost cut, as managers ultimately, and let me be blunt, as I cannot be compromising with the words. So as manipulators, as a naked reality. So those managers who manage things through manipulation and manipulations, and through these manipulations, they misguiding the entrepreneurs, and ultimately they end up mushrooming their own money. So as a very critical or close observation on this online education, we have not even reached the proper stage. And proper stage is, let me talk about the students who have access to online education. I'm not talking about those who don't have access to online education. I'm talking about the people who have access to online education. I mean, those who have good internet connectivity and these multimedia cell phones or laptops or desktops or tablets or iPads. Out of these people who have access to online education, and I'm referring to a report being published in The Hindu last June, if I'm not mistaken. There was an article on that. So that report informs that only 2% students of our country take online classes through a desktop or a laptop. 90% of them take their classes through cell phones. Before this talk, I got a call from a friend, and he was sharing something regarding Teachmint or some other app, that now 3 students have to have 3 devices because the classes would be separate, and you need a separate device to take that class. So I said that this will cost you something. He said certainly. Then I gave him an idea that I suggested him have a desktop, economically viable, and that ultimately brings the child on the chair. See, this small device, cell phone, it is very harmful for our eyes, very difficult to concentrate. And then having the luxury of the cell phone, you go in this corner, in that corner, just playing hide and seek with the parents, with the teachers, switching off the camera. And once you have a desktop, you come in a proper position. And see, the main idea, the main approach while talking about online education. See, the physical classroom is going to miss. And therefore, all the arrangements that we make for online education should be making the physicality of the classroom alternatively a feasible reality at home. So we need to work upon these small things before we talk about making it more productive. But I will not put aside your concerns. Certainly, we can make online education more productive through presence, the attendance of the students, through participation of the students. We should make a class participatory, proper delivery of the content by the teacher, and the powerful content. See, you cannot camouflage a dirty reality through a good bouquet, right? Rapper cannot do each and everything. That whatever there is in the rapper, that should have some quality. People end up talking fanciful things about communication skills, right? That English should be good, or Hindi should be good, or whatever should be good. But until or unless you don't have a depth knowledge of your subject, you cannot hide the reality through this linguistic grab for long. Next question, please.
My second question is, how parents may help a teacher during an online class?
Parents have a big role, an equally important role in the online education. And they can play their role as facilitators, facilitating the students, as monitors, as motivators, as classmates, or to be precise, by being in the role of department of health education in a school or in a college. Keeping an eagle's eye on them. And see, the child is sitting alone. He is not having any classmate sitting beside him on the desk, sharing his desk. So you should not shout at your child all the time. Come and take this class, come and do this homework. You be friendly with him. You be a classmate. Ask those silly questions. Do all those silly things which are fun-loving activities for the students. We have to come to their level. So through this, parents may certainly play a very pivotal role in the online education. provided they have time. Yeah, next
Sir,
question.
next question is, as we know, some of the parents are not so much acknowledged with the online technology. So as a teacher, how can I help them to understand the technology?
Okay, Manjuji, see, you and me are teachers only, right? And we are the part of this educational ecosystem that is so polluted. It needs to be purified, and we as teachers have to purify it. So for that, I think the people who reap the larger fruits must be responsible for this. Certainly, it's a very genuine concern, and the questions that you have asked so far really give the reflection of the depth, the commitment, the consciousness that you have as a teacher. And if all the teachers come up with these questions, I invite other teachers also, maybe your colleagues. Better we talk about all these things, and I said in the beginning, this talk is to impart the imparted, free of cost, only data cost, that they also do in so many Twitters and so many blogs on Facebook and WhatsApps. So better they sift for say 30, 40 minutes, and we are giving them ideas worth lakhs and crores. So your primary question was on, I forget, I lost the track.
As a teacher, how can I help the parents to understand the technology?
Yes, I got it. So the policymakers, school administrators, school managements, they should go for it because they're in a better position. Whenever there is pandemics are for a bigger period of times, 5-6 years. So you never know that for how long we will be in this pandemic. So whenever there is a relaxed situation, you end up doing all fanciful things of the academia. You have some workshops in your schools. When you invite the parents, maybe then you can have a good connection with them, that you later on think of some other fruitful experiences. See, the problem is, yesterday I was speaking to Preeti Saniji, and there I made a statement, and later on when I reflected and I recollected that statement was a very good statement, that we have stopped investing into people. We invest in machines. We invest in properties. We don't invest in people. And that's why all these machines, all these properties will be of no use one day for humanity, because there will be no human as such. So humanitarian concern, humanitarian approach should always be there. And apart from doing all these businesses of fear, creating fear, who horrifies as a leader, as an academic administrator, or as a policy maker? Who horrifies people? One who is hollow. A person with caliber, a person with competence will speak a language of compassion, will speak a language of equality, will speak a language of empowerment, as this whole channel is all about. So you leave it for the people who savor the larger fruits, and we talk about the techniques of teaching as teachers.
Okay, sir. Sir, next question is, how a teacher can get the interest of students in tech throughout the online class?
You should be interested teacher. You should be an online interested teacher. If you are not interested, or if you are disinterested as a teacher during online period, you cannot be an inspiring or effective teacher. You cannot keep the interest of your students throughout the class intact if you are not interested. Therefore, those who take care of the teachers, they should think of their happiness. They should not think of their even happiness is a larger stage, advanced stage. It's very difficult to imagine in the contemporary times, but at least the respect of the teacher, the survival of the teacher. I'm emphasizing the survival of the teacher, particularly in this unorganized, unregulated private sector. The interest of the teachers should be kept at the top priorities. It's our responsibility. It is the responsibility of their caretakers to take care of them during these period of times, because teachers are taking care of the future of the nation. They must be protected. And now, on our part, I'm not talking only about the policymakers and the caretakers, but as individuals, as teachers, we can keep the interest of the student intact throughout the class by being so paired. If you are interested, and before a class, we should be thrilled with the knowledge that we have. We should be having the pleasure of reading, and class time should be a time to share that pleasure with the students. This much should we read. This much we should invest in our own selves. What is the greatest investment of a teacher? The investment for the people who manage teachers might be several branches of your institution. But the investment of a teacher is the reading, is working on your explanation skills. Ultimately, as a teacher, you have to explain, work on it. This is your real asset. The people who consider you as an asset, fine enough. Even if you are not an asset, you are an asset to your own self. How you can stop investing in you when you are working for the people and they are not investing in you either, or they are investing into themselves? You invest in your own selves. So sharing that pleasure of reading or sharing that pleasure of knowledge should be shared in the class. And if you have that tendency in you, certainly you would keep the interest of your students intact throughout the period, throughout the entire online session that you have. Next question, please.
Right, sir. Sir, as we know, there are different kind of students which are having different IQ levels. So what about the low learners in online education?
See, a very nagging concern. We end up talking about super 30s and alphas and all that. We hardly talk about the low learners. So this online platform or this compared online system should be an opportunity for such low learners. And one approach, I said one thing, that physical aspect getting virtual in the online education, that therefore that physicality of the class should be supplemented at home. That is one approach. Another approach making point on online education is that you reduce the online engagement. Engage your student offline too. Give them the offline activities. You come, you share something. Suppose you come with the chapter, you share the key points of the chapter, key words of the chapter, key concepts of the chapter, key formulas of your topic. And then after explaining it, leave it to the students. Okay, beta, you do it. After 20 minutes, I will reconnect with you and then I will see your progress. Or see this WhatsApp, fine enough with the people. But we need to come from WhatsApp to email. Give them for advanced classes, maybe not effective in the primary section, but for advanced classes, you give them the questions. Fine enough that multiple choice questions you have to give them some writing practice also. During this pandemic, we can work upon so many things, and each and everything doesn't need to be done right now. Something we may postpone. Right now, we can focus on certain skills. Then we can work on some other skills. I hope I could answer your question.
Yes, sir, definitely.
Next
Sir,
question.
as we know, due to online education, the screen time is increased. So please enumerate on the harms of prolonged screen time on the health of the students.
Right.
And how can we deal with this problem?
Right. See, the harms of prolonged screen hours on teachers, on students are well known. Now, the important question comes, how to deal with it. So, saying that online or screen sucks our energy or our mind is a very outlandish thing. That's not practical. Practical is this: whatever important screen time is there, that should be there. Apart from that, apart from the classes, students spend more spend more time on the screen, engaged in other activities, games, and or so many entertaining stuff. That needs to be minimized. That should be brought to level 0. Because now the main learning is through online education. Therefore, we cannot afford to go for this entertaining aspect. Only productive engagement through screen should be there. And that way, we can really decrease the harm, and we can multiply this screen time for a multiple gain through learning attitude. So those skills we need to inculcate in ourselves as teachers first. Then we can think of imparting those skills to our students. Next question, please.
Sir, right. How to review the progress of learners in an online class?
As I said you before, 1 or 2 questions, give them some writing practices. Give them offline activities. Ask them to write it back to you. You check it. Review is a problem. Review is a problem with कुछ तूफानी करते हैं लोग. There are so many people who believe in this idea कि आज कुछ तूफानी करते हैं. So वो तूफानी करने में दिक्कत क्या आ जाती है? That they end up doing all the fanciful things all the time. किसी एक आइडिया पे स्टिक करके उस पे काम करना बड़ा महत्वपूर्ण होता है. But people don't do this. They will say, we will do this. We will do this. People are of false promises. They give so many ideas. We will do this, sir. We will do this. They do nothing. Because they never take reviews. They never give reviews. And people are also very happy with the newness of the ideas. कि कुछ नया, कुछ तूफानी आ रहा है. लेकिन जो पहले तूफानी आया, उस पे आपने क्या रिव्यू लिया? अब यहाँ पे काफी लेयर्स हैं. अब उन सभी लेयर्स पे बात करना बड़ा महत्वपूर्ण है. But again, we dismiss it that why to do all the talks for all the people. Better we talk that is of our immediate concern as teachers. So, right.
Sir, next question is, should parents attend online classes with their children?
Yes, they may, if they have time, but with a caveat. The intention should be to help the teacher and the taught, not other purposes like ogling or whining as a ritualized practice, our Kenta chorus. Yes, next question, please.
Sir, next question is, can the learners belonging to 3 to 8 year age group be taught online because they are so much small?
See, Manjuji, this is mistaken. And this way we are not doing justice to them either. Because, technology has its own limitations and its own problems. But ultimately, we cannot think of a life without technology. And once a child is holding a phone at the age of 2 or 3, then that device might be for his own personal growth. So they might be taught, but the screen time should be very minimum and the stuff should be all fun loving. And I have not worked so much on primary education. So I also accept my incompetence to talk on this particular point. Next question, please.
Okay. Sir, my last question is, what are the best possible ways of teaching such learners of small age group, 3 to 8 years like?
I think I have answered your question, that they must be taught in a very fun-loving manner, in a very caring manner. We should only entertain them, and that should be delightful instruction. We must give them some instructions, some tips in a very delighted manner, so that they start imbibing all those things. And this is the time when we introduce certain practices, certain teaching, reading practices to these students. So we should introduce them. And stories, poems, because Indian mind is that of a story. So introduce them, read stories for them. They cannot read it at themselves. So, and you are speaking 3 to 8. So during this period of time, we must make them the readers. But the focus is on coverage of syllabus. Again, fear of being fired. If you don't complete your syllabus, you might be fired, because there are so many firemen and there are so many foremen. Not exactly the academic administrators.
Thanks, Dr. Rajpal, for this insightful talk on the serious topic. Sir, I hope the policymakers, the academic administrators, and the school management, they will discuss on this topic in this time, and they make better online education policies. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, Manjuji. And before we wind up this discussion, I would like to request my fellow teachers and those of you who are interested in such kind of dialogues. I'm really thankful to you, Manjuji, that you send your proposal to me for this online talk on online education after watching yesterday's Talkfest with Preeti Saini. So I invite more people like you, or you also keep coming back on TEC with your questions. This is a platform to discuss, disseminate ideas, and ideas must be respected. Ideas must be worked upon. And if you don't respect an idea, you don't claim to be a creative thinker. So all of these things we are doing for a very creative purpose, very constructive purpose. We are not here to dismantle things. We are not deconstructive critics. Certainly, see, the problem should be identified and must be talked about. There is no use of covering up the problem and managing as crisis managers. If there is a crisis, let it come. Diagnose the crisis. Think of the solutions. Work on it. So we are not only diagnosing the disease, we are curing it also. So if some of you, those of you who are my close friends also, maybe in administration, this academic administration, please don't get offended. I'm doing all the roles as someone who is diagnosing and as someone who is curing. Just you lend me your complete ears throughout the session, so you would understand that the way forward is also being talked about. Once again, I would request all of you to share your feedbacks through comments. And whenever you comment on me on WhatsApp, the people who are very much familiar, I request all of you kindly comment on this platform, comment in the comment box, so that more meaningful, and your identity will be revealed for sure, but that's not so harmful. You are engaged for a creative cause. Overcome this fear. This is the thing that we need to really do, work upon. Kindly do like if you really like. If you don't like, dislike the video. If you have subscribed the channel, find it worth sharing, must share. This is the high time. And if you have subscribed the channel, and if I have hurt you in this talk, you may unsubscribe also. Thank you so much. for watching. Thank you, Manjuji, for this nice discussion. Hoping such a vibrant talk very soon on some other topic, or maybe on the same topic with different questions. Thank you.
Right, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.